today with Matt Rose, who's an optometrist, and I'm here in Brittain Opticians in Harborne in Birmingham. And Matt, thank you so much for inviting us in. Wonderful to be here. Fantastic array of sunglasses. We might just be distracting and just put some of these on. But Matt, how long have you been here?
So just 8 years last week, and yeah, we took over from the old custodian back in 2008.
Mm-hmm. And why the name Brittain? Was that?
It was an old name that's been around in Birmingham for a long time. We think probably the 60s, and it's kind of been passed around. So there's been quite a few practices, but now we're the only one with that name at the moment.
So you decided to stick with that name?
We did.
So what makes your optician any different than another optician, Matt?
I suppose there's 2 or 3 things which make us stand out. A, the frames. I think that's probably one of the big things. We stock a lot of frames that you can't get anywhere else. In the West Midlands, 2 or 3 brands that we've got that do that for us.
And what brands do you have?
So the brands that you might have heard of, we've got Ray-Ban and Bulgari. They're probably kind of high street names. And then some of the other brands that you won't have heard of from around Europe, we've got a French brand called Face à Face, a German brand called Maikita, and a few Danish brands, Pro Design, All Green, Lindberg. We seem to be a little bit Danish heavy.
Yeah. Was that kind of your intention though, Matt? Just to make sure you were a little bit different and have unique frames?
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily just going out and finding strange countries in Europe.
Yes.
But it's about kind of finding what serves our customers best, and those are the brands that we think can give us that breadth of design and quality that we'd like to deliver to people.
Now, you've obviously got all this beautiful array of sunglasses, some of which are behind us here. But as an optometrist, tell us about that, because you're skilled and qualified in looking at people's eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's hopefully the point. Yeah. So, that was the other side of it. So trying to get, I think a lot of the time people are, the experience of having their eyes tested and looked after isn't probably what we thought was kind of the right way of doing it. So we spend time with people and get to know them and any of their issues and also spend more time, up to 40 minutes with people to find out that we can get the right vision and the right prescription for their eyes, but also making sure that their eyes are as healthy as they should be.
Do you think people are now more likely to come and have an eye test?
I think it's probably the case that it's less of a stigma than it used to be. I know when I was growing up, it was a bit of a big deal getting glasses, whereas now I think kids can kind of get into it a little bit easier and understand the benefits more.
I remember when the Harry Potter movie came out, the little Harry Potter glasses were very popular. Yeah, so you've done a few of those. But I mean, did that actually, encourage people to come and see you? Do you think things like that do point people in the right direction? Yeah, and I think obviously that whole, definitely celebrities have helped as well. So anything like that's in the media where people are wearing glasses and we seem to use them more as a fashion item more than just a medical device is kind of useful. Yeah. People are, at least if they do need glasses, they're going to invest and buy something that they look nice in. As a client, who do you see? What sort of ages are you seeing come into your store? So we see all age ranges because we're registered with the NHS. We kind of can cater for all ages. So any age really, probably. We've seen little tots from sort of 6 months old up to people over 100. So and are you seeing more children come into your opticians? I think with with things like Harry Potter and I think the more awareness with parents and teachers that we do see more kids and for the better usually, and we can pick up problems earlier and deal with them. And do you feel that, because kids now, are so sort of glued to their tablets or their iPad or their iPhones or whatever, do you think that's had any significant impact on their eyesight? Well, interestingly, there's been a big 20-year study which has just completed this quite recently, showing that actually that can impact on the level of how short-sighted people are. So the screen itself isn't a big problem. Is it just the way they hold it though? Because children tend to hold it right close to them, don't they? Exactly. Yeah. So prolonged close work is felt that it can cause short sight. So that's the sort of thing that we're probably seeing a bit more of than we used to. And we talked just a little bit earlier about the stigma of wearing glasses. That appears to have gone now, though, isn't it? It seems to be quite cool actually to have glasses. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, there's definitely a lot. As I say, the celebrity angle has meant that I think it is a lot cooler these days to wear specs, which is good. And I think generally speaking, these days a lot more people have
weekend pair of glasses or holiday glasses and work glasses, so people can change their looks. Like we do with all our other items of clothing, to suit the occasion.
Yeah, and that's great though. It's great you've got a choice of colours,
a
choice of frames, and as you say, just a choice really, full stop.
Yeah, one of our ranges, the Lindbergh range, I think they quote it as having a billion different combinations.
Really?
Which is too much choice, really.
Yeah, that's right. That's a bit too much choice.
But it's interesting how it's changed.
And then what about diseases? What diseases are you seeing when you come to people?
Yeah, so the big ones, I suppose, talking about children in some respects, actually, it's kind of which affects people when they get a bit older after is cataract, and that's the one we see most of, really.
Now, just explain that for people who don't understand what that actually is.
So cataracts are to do with a hazing of the lens inside the eye, and mostly that's to do with UV exposure over time. And why it relates to children is that they can often have a lot more UV exposure than adults because their eyes are not fully developed, so they let more UV light in. And then later in life they become more prone to cataract. So that's probably the big one. And then the other ones that are common and people will have heard of is macular degeneration and glaucoma. So we see quite, thankfully not too much.
But there's two types of the macular disorder though, isn't there? There's the wet and the dry, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah. So we're lucky enough that there are more treatments coming through. So the wet macular degeneration, there's more treatments available now than there used to be for certain types, and also the dry, which we haven't had any treatment for. I was hearing about the other day that probably in the next 3 to 5 years there'll be some treatment available for that as well. So technology is helping.
I was going to say, is the technology sort of helping you with your role in what you do? Yeah,
so the technology enables us to detect more accurately and sooner than we used to. When I started 14 years ago, it was harder to detect these problems, but whereas now we can either manage them or monitor them more easily than we did before with things like cameras and other types of technology.
And when you're with people, and do you find it's a frightening experience for them? And do you go out of your way to try and calm their nerves? Can some people be quite nervous about coming to see you?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there's still a lot of people who are probably nervous for whatever reason. Generally speaking, obviously it's better if we can pick things up earlier. Generally speaking, the earlier we see it, the earlier we can treat it, and to better results. But yeah, it's difficult. You've got to talk to people in the right way and make them feel comfortable.
And here at Brittain, what do you do then to sort of alleviate their fears? What do you have a sort of a process, or what do you do?
Yeah, all my staff are really well trained and great at dealing with people. So that's the first step, is they always try and make people feel at ease, and when they come in, and we sit down and talk to them first and try not to rush the process. So
you say you give them 40 minutes, didn't you?
Yeah, 40 minutes normally. Yeah. So hopefully in that time it gives us enough time to do the tests properly and not rush that bit, but also get to know them and put them at their ease so that they can tell us more about what's happening with them.
And how do you see the future of your role?
Yeah, I mean, it's
obviously ever changing, isn't it, with the new technologies you said?
Yeah, so technology is going to be a bigger part, I suppose. And interestingly, in Birmingham this year, which is happening across the country, but with the pressures on the NHS, that we'll probably start to manage in conjunction with hospitals more eye conditions. So that's probably a shift. We'll be managing and monitoring eye problems more.
Because currently at the moment, is it right it's free for children? Is that still correct?
Yeah, it's free to up to 16s, under 19s in full-time education. Anybody who's on certain types of benefits will give you a free eye test, and then anyone over 60.
And then for the eye test itself, how often do you recommend that people have an eye test?
It varies, and it depends on the person. So if we pick up a particular problem, we might want to monitor it in 6 months' time. Sometimes, in general terms, it will be 2 years.
Must I book myself in?
Yeah.
Having never had an eye test in my life. I'll admit that now. That's but it's funny because when I was younger, there was definitely a stigma, and it wasn't actually seen to be a thing to do. It wasn't on my parents' radar, I don't think.
No.
Whereas nowadays there is more awareness
obviously there's Google, there's people go on to search things. If we've got an ailment, we tend to go online and search. And do you find that as a benefit though to you as a business, or can that be a hindrance?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky, isn't it, if you're looking at something in isolation, because we've dealt with a lot of these problems before. Sometimes the internet can be sort of lead people down the wrong way, especially if they're looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, because they might be self-diagnosing something that's maybe more serious than what the condition is.
Exactly. So there's always that kind of element. So that's why we would always encourage people to talk to the optometrist about those kind of problems, because they're more likely to be able to give them some reassurance or advice about how to deal with things.
And how about your role personally, because obviously you are here now, how do you see your business expanding?
Well, obviously I think we want to see more people and try and spread the brand and spread the word about what we think eye care should be like, rather than how other high street operators do it. We think we've got a good model and a good sense of how people should be treated.
And are Birmingham supporters of your business? Obviously we're in Harborne at the moment in Birmingham. Is it a very good sort of community? It feels like it's a very good community atmosphere here. And is it good for business where you are? Yeah,
exactly. So Harborne's obviously a very nice place to work, and we've got lots of very loyal clients, which we're very thankful for. But yeah, it's great. So it's a great place to work.
Excellent. Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. I think we're just going to have to try on a few of these lovely sunglasses before I go. But thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure.
Thank you.